Good evening. It is 29 minutes past 8 on Sunday evening. And today I did my final long run in preparation for Abingdon, which was 16 miles long, which I did in 2 hours 6 minutes, averaging 7.5 minute miles. I got absolutely drenched, so it was a bit horrendous, but then I came back and was able to spend some time writing chapter 5 of my novel. So I'm going to get on and read out chapter 5. So here we go. The drive home was painfully quiet. Elspeth was naturally inquisitive, with hundreds of questions, yet she knew Graham didn't have any of the answers, so she felt it unfair to ask. Cradled in her top-of-the-range car seat, Violet White slept soundly throughout the entire journey, blissfully unaware of how her unique condition would colour her life and present challenges that she'd need to be equipped to deal with. As the rubber tyres of the robust people carrier ground over the driveway gravel like giant peppercorns, Violet awoke with a stir. They'd decided to name her this since her condition enabled her to see ultraviolet light frequencies, so it was most fitting. Elspeth always liked the colour too, as it reminded her of lavender, something she always associated with peace and tranquility. Graham hoisted Violet up out of her seat and carried her proudly to the doorway. Elspeth followed close behind with a few bags and tulips in a makeshift tinfoil vase left from when Olive and George had visited in hospital. The hallway mat was scattered with congratulatory cards, mostly pink and cream, such an abundance that only a few bristles of the mat beneath poked out. Good news spreads fast, Graham beamed as he gave Violet her first tour of her new home. Everything was just how they'd left it, which was obvious really, since no one had been given a key to let themselves in and check on the place. A few grapes in the fruit bowl had shriveled and dulled, and dust specks were forming over honey pine shelves, but everything else was accurate, in its right place, just the way Elspeth liked it. She'd never admit to being a neat freak and firmly deny she had OCD, yet if one of the spines on the bookcase was facing outwards instead of inwards, or only one curtain had been drawn, she'd feel uneasy and beyond control. It was a little peculiar, but something Graham had learned to find charming. He accepted people's flaws as he believed they coloured people's characters. Elspeth wandered into the kitchen and flicked on the radio. White noise, like the kind that had streamed out of the Roberts radio aside her bed in hospital, filled the room before a host of piercing violins pricked the air like a biting wind. She rustled in her handbag and pulled out a dainty compact and a lipstick with a gold luminous case. She gazed through the mirror and watched her coal-black pupils dilate and shrink before smearing on the creamy crushed berry shade which set her eyes on fire. After Graham had settled Violet down to sleep and pulled the absorbent curtains so her milk-white skin was shaded from the autumn sun, he joined Elspeth in the conservatory, where they sat together on a wicker lounger. The stone tiles were cold on their naked feet, and the room smelt damp and moist like a greenhouse on a wet summer's day. Elspeth gazed at her husband the way she'd gazed through the compact mirror, hollow and lifeless, like an empty oyster without a pearl. He sensed her melancholy and was aching inside too, but he'd never show this, as it would only worsen the situation. Instead, he leapt up and began rifling through little squares of colourfully packaged teas. How about I make you something hot and fruity? That'll ease those winter blues. Elspeth nodded and twiddled her wedding ring around her finger. The rock caught the light and shimmered like a treasure washed up on a beach of black seaweed. She felt selfish and undeserving, but still like she'd just drowned her firstborn spawn in the gene pool before she'd even learnt to swim. "Choose one of the strong, aromatic ones," she ordered, before muttering under her breath, "I need something to wake me from this nightmare." Ta-da! And then we have chapter 5. Stay tuned for the next episode.